Gentlemen, we are running a few minutes behind because of the Rules Committee. I'm going to ask everyone to please take their seats. There's a sign-up sheet here up front. Remember my rules. If you don't fill up the whole sheet, then we cannot hear from you. Please make sure you fill in all the appropriate information. We're going to get started in just 1 minute.
Thank my lucky stars to be living.
Committee. We're going to begin as we always do, and I'm going to ask our very own Senator Wicks to open us up in a word of prayer.
Dear Lord, just thank you for this day. Just thank you that we just have a clear mind, that we can just make an honest assessment, that we just navigate our thoughts. And these we ask, amen.
Amen. Thank you. All right. If somebody can close the door in the back here, getting a little background noise, I appreciate it. We're going to have two bills on the calendar today. We're going to hear Senate Bill 185 as well as Senate Bill 147. We're going to get those sign-up sheets in just a moment. I want to remind everybody that in a Senate committee meeting that we sign up to testify. We'll have people come on. Depending on how many people are signed up to testify, we may have to limit the amount of time. If it comes down to that time, know that if you try to go over your time, you'll be taking that ability away from somebody else who may have come here today to speak. So I'd ask we all be very cognizant and very understanding of the work that needs to be done ahead of us. And always remember everybody that all comments do not come from the floor, but they actually will come from the podium once you are recognized. So with that, we're going to okay. All right, we're going to begin with Senate Bill 185. Our Vice Chairman, Senator Randy Robertson, is going to go to the podium to tell us all about this wonderful bill.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Public Safety Committee members, I'm looking at SB 185, LC 394625. I'm not going to say this is a non-controversial piece of legislation, but what I will say is it is a very simple piece of legislation. What this bill does is it directs the Department of Corrections, the Board of Corrections, to a law that would prohibit any Department of Corrections funds or resources to be directed toward any type of sexual reassignment surgeries. The meat of the bill starts on line 66, where you'll see there's multiple corrections prior to that, just on titles. But at line 66, it talks about in the subsection that no state funds or resources shall be used for the following treatments for state inmates. There's a definition for state inmates in Georgia Code. If you look on line 68, it says sex reassignment surgeries or any other surgical procedures that are performed for the purpose of altering primary or secondary sexual characteristics. Line 70, hormone replacement therapies, and 71, cosmetic procedures for prosthetics intended to alter the appearance of primary or secondary sexual characteristics. And then on 73, it explains that the Board of Corrections shall adopt rules and regulations regarding procedures and therapies prohibited by this subsection. The reason we put that in there for clarification, because there are already rules, regulations, and procedures dealing with these types of conditions that are negotiated under the RFP for healthcare contracts currently enforced within Georgia Department of Corrections and vendors. And those are to offer different types of therapies and medications for those who may be suffering from this disorder. And I use the word disorder as in reference to the DSM-5-TR. The 2022 edition describes gender dysphoria very clearly in the way that I think we could all understand it, even I could understand it. But what it does not do is this does not impair individuals that are born with medically verifiable disorders development, including individuals born with ambiguous genitalia or chromosomal abnormalities resulting in ambiguity regarding the individual's biological sex. Mr. Chairman and board members, if this were not an issue within the Georgia Department of Corrections, I would not have brought this legislation forward, but it is. I would be happy to answer any questions, and I ask for the support of the committee in moving this bill forward.
Thank you, Senator. I think this is very common sense legislation. I'm going to ask if there are questions from the committee members. I do have a question. Leader Jones, number 11, go ahead.
I had two quick ones, Mr. Chairman. On page 4, line 71. So even though when we talk about the sex reassignment surgery and also hormone replacement therapies, I wouldn't necessarily agree that those should be excluded either, but certainly my question is why would we exclude the cosmetic procedure aspect of it? That's the first question.
Yes, because currently some of the cases we're dealing with are individuals that are being incarcerated in the Georgia Department of Corrections are challenging us to purchase false breasts and other prosthetics that could be used in order to change someone's appearance from their biological sex, whether this be fake genitalia and other items, padding to enhance their gluteus maximus, and of course, as I mentioned before, padding to give them the appearance of breasts that would be associated with a female when the individual is not a female.
And one other question, Mr. Chair. So isn't it also correct that I think there's a case pending now in the Northern District of Georgia that kind of like addresses this? Why wouldn't it be better for us maybe to just see what the Northern District says and also what the 11th Circuit may say too? Because I think it's kind of on point for this exactly 3
Well, it goes
areas.
beyond that. We currently have other individuals being held in the Georgia Department of Corrections that are asking for accommodations related to this particular thing. That's not the only issue that's currently going on, Mr. Leader, inside of the Georgia Department of Corrections related to gender dysphoria and the issues associated around that designation.
All right, thank you, Mr. Chair.
All right, thank you. Other questions? Senator Wicks.
I have a question. Thank you for this. What medical or psychological professionals were consulting when drafting this bill?
Multiple individuals in the mental health community. The vast majority of the mental health individuals that I reach out to when I draft this type of legislations are individuals within my district who I represent as their state senator. Plus, I've had other training within law enforcement, dealing with crisis intervention, dealing with individuals with certain mental health disorders and other conditions. And To tell you this, and I don't mean this as a joke, I don't mean to take this lightly at all, but I've through the years, I have become way too familiar with these types of conditions. And, but it's always through the law enforcement community and the mental health community that I get all of my information and advice.
All right, thank you. Other questions of committee members? Seeing none, Senator, if you want to come back with the committee here, we are going to hear from, looks like 7 people have signed up to talk, so I'm going to ask you to keep your comments to 2 to 3 minutes, please. And we're going to begin with Amanda K. Seals. I believe you're first. If you want to come up to the podium, please.
Good afternoon, Senators. My name is Amanda K. Seals. I am a partner at Bondurant, Mixon, and Elmore here in Atlanta. I have, over the last 6 or 7 years, had the honor and privilege of representing many transgender Georgians in various capacities. I currently have a case pending in which I do represent an incarcerated individual who is seeking gender-affirming care. To the minority leader's point, this is a matter of ongoing litigation. Even without this bill, the current practice of the Georgia Department of Corrections is firmly unconstitutional. And if you pass this bill, you will invite further litigation on this topic, litigation which the state has consistently lost. And certainly, you are welcome to invite that sort of litigation against the state of Georgia, but that is a much less prudent use of the state resources than it is to give medically necessary care to people who are constitutionally entitled to it. And I would encourage you to dedicate your resources that way, rather than inviting further litigation. Thank you.
Thank you for your comments. Okay, next up, looks like Mark Spencer.